Shalom. I'd like to start off by giving all praises, honors, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Makaha, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, great millstone that rule well, still do, taught us this truth. Salutations to the Akim on the highways and the hedges and the four corners, preaching his word with truth and sincerity. I was just meditating in the spirit. Watched a couple of the apostles and elders videos, getting edified. Watched a couple of Akim's videos, getting edified. And one of the brothers, Rapah Moth, the GMS Class of Kings, and he was talking about, the key. Even though you see the media getting at Israel, mainly the GMS, because they're the only ones preaching the truth, 100% truth, that is. I just got a couple of precepts I wanted to get in, speaking about preaching and how even though you're going to suffer persecution for preaching, it's a good thing because that shows the Father and the Son, Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai, that you're down for them, and only the men that are down for them are going to do these things. So, just wanted to get a quick precept. First and foremost, in the Old Testament, they hit the book of Amos, hit the 3rd chapter. First start off in the 6th verse. Shall the trumpet be blown in the city, and the people not be afraid? Shall there be an evil in the city, and the Lord hath not done it? And that's pertaining to this persecution. So it's letting you know that because the Lord controls all, He's allowing the persecution to happen because it's supposed to test your faith in Him. Like pertaining to the book of Matthew, the 5th chapter. Lord's will, I'll get that later on in the lesson. Verse 7 is the point. Surely the Lord power will do nothing, but He revealeth the secret unto His servants the prophets. So the men that are breaking down the Bible the correct way, starting with the apostles and elders of Great Millstone on down, that's who the Lord entrusted this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of this holy scriptures to. Somebody on this earth has the keys to the whole church, if you will. And through in the scriptures, Yahushua left it to Peter, and the Most High in real life left it to the apostles and elders, apostles to haul on down. All the apostles, they have the keys to the church. Verse 8, the lion hath roared, who will not fear? The Lord power hath spoken, who can but prophesy? And that's the point. you can't do nothing but prophesy, especially if you're one of the hopeful elect. Well, will not be part of that. And let me get that real quick. Talking about the evil that's done from the Lord, just to test their faith. This is the book of Matthew, 5th chapter. I'm starting at the 5th verse. Blessed are the meek. Actually, I started at the 4th. Blessed are they that mourn. Actually, I started in the 3rd because there's a lot of meat in this chapter, to be perfectly honest. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. You see, this is the reason why you should keep on prophesying, for the simple fact that the Lord knows that you're poor in spirit, and you're rich in faith, and you're rich in the belief. Because faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things now seen, pertaining to the book of Hebrews, the 11th chapter. And the Lord knows that even though you didn't see the kingdom, you believe that it's coming because pertaining to the scriptures, the kingdom is within you. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. And that ties in with the poor in spirit, because the Lord wants the broken and contrite hearts. He wants the people that are sick, that need a physician. That's why the Lord, He sat with publicans and sinners. The wicked Pharisees and Sadducees, they spoke to the prophet, spoke to Yahweh's disciples, and he specifically told them why He sits with them, because if you're whole, you don't need Him. And clearly the people that act like they don't break the law, they don't need Him, like foolish groups like IUSPK and IUIC, they act like they're going to save themselves off their own merits, and they're farthest from the truth. But we understand that the Lord set them up as well as to be hirelings and to be stumbling blocks unto those that the Lord really doesn't want. Verse 5, this is the point, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Yeah. And the meek, look at the word meek, is people that sit in a low place, the poor. The poor, you can't, clearly in 2019, the year of Karagma, you can clearly see that the poor is talking about so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, because it doesn't matter where you go in these four corners, we are the bottom of the totem pole, top of the food chain. You know, and skip over verse 10. This is the point. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. This is why you must preach through the persecution, because in order for you to receive the crown, you have to go through adversity first. Verse 11, blessed are ye when men shall revile you, persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my name's sake. And clearly you see that. If you've been watching the news, those brothers from HOI, even though they're not part of GMS, they were preaching, telling Israel to wake up and showing Israel who their nation was, what their nationality is. And certain things they had preached we don't agree with, but that part we do agree with, that they're trying to bring people back to the remembrance of their true nationality. And as you can see, if you've been watching the news, Fox News been demonizing, the media itself been demonizing, calling us black. And this is a disclaimer, we don't call ourselves black by any shape, form, or fashion. Black is a negative word, it's a social construct created by the so-called white man, the Edomites, to confuse and further divide and conquer the people. You see? Verse 12, rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven, for so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. Yeah, and this is why you should take that as a very nice heavy badge of dignity, because the prophets before time, they got persecuted too for the names of Yahweh Shah. I wanted to get something in the book of 2nd Ezra to prove that your persecution is most definitely necessary. We're gonna start the book of 2nd Ezra. I'm gonna start this 2nd Ezra starting at the 4th verse. Actually I started at the 3rd verse. And I said, spake, O my power, then he said unto me, the sea is set in a wide place that it might be deep and great, but put the case the entrance were narrow and like a river. Who then could go into the sea to look upon it and to rule it? If he had not went through the narrow, how could he come into the broad? Yeah. And that is equated to this path of salvation. You cannot get to the kingdom of heaven without suffering persecution, Verse 6, there is also another thing. A city is builded and set upon a broad field, and it's full of all good things. That's basically equated to the kingdom of heaven, the salvation that we should want to receive. The Lord willing, I receive it. We be part of that number. Verse 7, the entrance thereof is narrow, and is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were a fire on the right hand, and on the left a deep water. And it's Satan, as you could tell. And only one path between them both, and even between the fire and the water, so small that there could but one man go there at once. So basically, if you're paying attention, it's like a bridge to the kingdom, and on one side is a tightrope, if you will, and one side is deep water, and another side is a flaming fire. So if you fall on either side, you're done for. Verse 9, this is the point. If this city were given unto a man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive this inheritance? Yeah, and this is the point. If you never receive persecution, you never receive ridiculement, you never look like a spectacle unto the men and the angels and the different nations, and how are you supposed to receive your kingdom and receive your inheritance of everlasting life and rulership over the nations? Exactly, that's the point. You wouldn't. Only if you, like this old saying I was told, you have to go through the furnace to earn this. You go through the furnace, And if you try it out and try it good, then everything will be good. Right here is the book of Ecclesiastes, also known as Sirach chapter 2, verse 1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. This is why you're supposed to prepare your soul for temptation, because you're going to get persecuted and tried. Verse 2, set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble. You know, skipping down to, actually I'll just read down, cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased at thy last end. Yeah. So you don't deter from the persecution and the chastisement. You actually take it on and welcome it. Why? Because it's going to further shape you into how would you put it? A fitting peace that the Lord would want, an acceptable man. Verse 4, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully and be patient when thou art changed to a low estate. And the word patience means long suffering. So when you suffer, you know, praise the Lord. Like as in the book of Job, when Job caught his hell, he praised the Lord. When he got good, he praised the Lord. You read the second chapter as a prime example of Job's integrity, because even his wife went against him, and he had to put her in check and check her, like, you foolish woman, telling me to curse God and die. If God gives us good, you have to thank him, and he gives us bad too, because he is the creator of all. And that's the point. Verse 5, this is the point. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. So acceptable men are tried in the fire. So if you're catching any type of hell, persecution, ridiculement, then you are an acceptable man for doing this work, of course. Because there are men that are catching hell, and rightfully so, because they're wicked. So you got to know, you got to have discernment in that as well. You know? Let me get this real quick, and I'm going to just close. This is the book of 2 Timothy, the 3rd chapter. Thou, therefore, endure hardness as a good soldier for Yahushua HaMashiach. Yeah, and that's the point. You have to endure hardness. And it's to make you hard, to make you a suitable soldier so you can withstand the pressures and the wiles of the devil. Like pertaining to the book of Ephesians, you have to put on the whole armor of the Most High. You know? And then we're going to go to the 4th chapter and the 2nd verse. And this is the point as well. Preach the word, be instant, in season, out of season, reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. Yeah, you're supposed to be that way. You're supposed to be apt to teach in all weathers, in all climates, and any time of the day. Why? Because that's what a soldier is. A soldier is always ready to fight for the kingdom any given time, any given place. You know? Like it tells in the scriptures, if this was the Lord's kingdom, his servants would fight for him. But since this is not his kingdom, we are to show that we're ready to fight and to wait upon him. Like pertaining to the book of Zephaniah, 3rd chapter. Let me get this in the last but not least, back in the book of Ecclesiastes, the 4th chapter, 28th verse. I'll start at 26. Be not ashamed to confess thy sins, and force not the course of the river. Make not thyself an underling to a foolish man, neither accept person of the mighty. And this is the point. Salaki. Strive for the truth unto death, and the Lord shall fight for thee. Yeah, and that's the point. You strive for the truth until death. You know, you strive for the truth. You strive for the masterpiece. You continue your course until you until it is done. And you may have to die for this. There's going to be some brothers that's going to have to be a martyr for this. But like pertaining to the precepts, you know, you die for this, you're going to be the first one risen. When brothers hit them chariots, you're already going to be in there. So it's a win-win situation. And it's either you do that or you end up here. You stay here and get destroyed. And nobody wants that. I wanted to get this precept just because it made sense to me. Because for the brothers that have no problem being martyrs, you feel just like Paul did when he wrote to the Philippians. This is the book of Philippians, 1st chapter, starting at the 20th verse. Actually, I started at the 19th. For I know that this shall turn to my salvation through your prayer and the supplication of the Spirit, Salakia, of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, according to my earnest expectation and my hope that in nothing I shall be ashamed, but that with all boldness as always. So now also Hamashiach shall be magnified in my body, whether it be my life or by death. Be by life or by death. So yeah, the the exaltation of the only begotten Son has to be done, whether it's by your life or by your death. Point blank period. It has to be done because he's the King of all kings and Lord of all lords. And this is the whole reason why you preach, because the world doesn't believe in on him. If they did, then they would follow the law, statute, commandments of his Father. Verse 21 is the point. For me to live is Hamashiach, and to die is gain. Yeah, and to die is gain for the simple fact that we don't want to be here in this crooked and perverse, wicked system where everything is upside down and the evil is looked as good and the good is looked at as evil. You know, like it tells you in the book of Isaiah, you got to hate the evil and love the good. And people really don't do that. You know, as a matter of fact, it might be as well. Hard to do until the kingdom comes. It's supposed to preach and exalt the Heavenly Father and His Son to the top of to the best of your ability. You know, so the Lord's willing is edified. I'd like to give all honor, praises, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, and Kahatagas. Double honors to the apostles, the elders, the great millstone, shalom to the elect.